Dr. Shallua, you are a powerful woman who has lived in Africa and in the West for 3 decades. I was listening sharply. And then you came back to Africa. You know, what does that represent to you as, how do you see yourself as an African in this whole arena of exposure to both worlds, or to different worlds and different systems? What is it in that process that you feel identifies you truly as an African woman?
Wow, that's loaded. But traveling across the globe together with Dr. Shallua, my husband, I want this also to translate in our day-to-day lives as Africans, because I want to derive some values that have made me, or have made an African to be an African. The fact that my father was able to install in me the importance of education. The fact that we had a moment, a fireplace, that he would bring us, as poor as we were, the one thing he would emphasize to us was, I cannot give you much in this life. I don't have the wealth. But what I know is this: if you stick to education, if you pursue education, it's gonna bring the wealth that you will have. And what he meant was not just the education we get from school, but he made the totality of it, the knowledge, the wisdom that we can acquire, and that will help us to grow and to develop ourselves, to be able to think critically and to be able to solve problems and to become solution makers. Basically, that's what he meant. So even as we traveled, we understood that. And it was always ringing in my ears to know I need to take these values that I've been taught from my parents, from my mom. A lot of times when I was outside, they would ask me, where did you learn to be a businesswoman? I mean, you have just come to this country, and all of a sudden, you are establishing this, you are establishing that, you are thinking of going to school. And my answer was always this: my mom taught me to sell mandazi when I was 7 years old. She would literally take us, because my father was a pastor, earning probably 60,000, or maybe even less back then. These were years ago. So the salary was very minimal, so we couldn't survive on our father's income. So my mom, like every other woman who are still doing what they need to do right here to empower themselves economically, used to have small businesses. And it didn't end by her, but she would gather us together with our siblings and teach us the value of working with our hands, and teaching us the value of knowing that what we have, if we add value to what we have, it can bring income to it. So at 7 years old, my brothers were 10, 12. I would get the mandazi. I would go sell house to house. We'll knock doors. Hey, we are selling mandazi. My siblings would get groundnuts. They will go to stadiums where soccer was played. Instead of watching soccer, they were selling groundnuts. But that meant so much to us. It helped us to understand what to do with our hands. And it helped us to know it is not enough just to have one income. It also helped us to know the value of working hard. I think what I'm trying to say, there are values that we get as Africans. They are so fundamental to understand in this day and time. If we use them, they will work for us, not against us. They will translate for wealth. Yes. Why are we complaining? Why are we living in this victimized mode? That we are poor, that we don't have this, that we don't have that. Why? We have so much resources that if we add value to that, they can become a wealth to us. So what am I saying? I want us to go back to what Grandma is telling you. I want us to go back to what Mom and Dad was telling you, the aunties. It takes a village, right?
Yes.
It takes a village to what? To raise a child. Yes. I was raised literally by a Mama Dora, a grandma who was a neighbor, who used to take me and my sisters and tell us and install in us values that were important for our lives. And I still remember her up to these days. But I think nowadays with the young people, I love to hear the narrative that you guys are saying. We want to hear from you. Guess what? Somebody's speaking to you. Are we listening? Are we taking that in? Are we using it? This is a moment just to cherry pick what is best from the African culture. This is a moment to cherry pick. Not everything is good. But we can cherry pick what is good and let it give us leverage. There is so much leverage out of that. Take it from me. Yeah. I really want to thank God. Just from what I learned from my mom, I can proudly say, by the grace of God, it has given me so much wealth. Wow. Just knowing that it's not enough to work 8 hours a day. It is not just enough to do what everybody else is doing. It is not enough. And I didn't learn that from school. I literally learned that at the fireplace in my home, while we were having Bible study, while Mom was cooking. Yes. Do we still have young girls who love to watch their mom cooking? Do we still have those?
Yes, we do.
Wow. Or are we all in the microwave age? Which is okay. I'm not condemning microwave. I love the microwave. Well, we just put it in the microwave, we take it out, then we run, right? But there are times my girls always say, Mom, we still remember when you say, you gotta put time into cooking. Yeah. You gotta be creative. Do we still value such moments with the elders? Do we still, because that is the identity of us. I've taken that around the world.
Wow, amazing.
Yes, and I've used that even to empower other people.
Amazing.
And it doesn't end there.
Thank you.
But because of time.
But we could go on and on. And actually somebody was asking me that why is it that women these days have better chances in work, in getting good jobs? And I think that training, you might call it training in the kitchen, but when you are cooking a meal, you don't just get a bottle of salt and put it in, bottle of spices and put it in, beans and put everything. You measure. You think about the taste. How would it be if I do this? And we are trained to think very strategically right from a young age. And this is something I think that we need to really value. And maybe academics like Dr. Sokile, Dr. Bana can help us, Dr. Dennis, to to actually analyze what that is and how we can, it's not, I'm not just talking about cooking, but the way we go about our business. I love the fact that your training in investment and business started right from the beginning. It's incredible. And it's impacting me as well. So this is great.